Alright, I'm continuing to cover my request topics from TikTok, and today we're going to talk about Jodah, Zur, and the sort of ageless people of Dominaria. Jodah made sort of a bigger splash in the Magic community because of this card from Dominaria Unite, but he's actually a character that goes way back in Magic. You see, Jodah is the star of the Ice Age novels in Magic. That's him down here, and he's besties with Jaya. He is also a descendant of Urza. You see, Urza had a son with Caleb bin Krug named Harbin. Harbin, before he died, had a son of his own named Jarsel, who became sort of this famous wizard during the Dark, and Jarsel is Jodah's, great-grandfather, I think. So Jodah was born just a few hundred years after Urza. And the reason he's still around 4,000 years later is that as a youth, he fell into a fountain of youth, and so he has aged at a glacial pace since then. He's sort of comparable to the Doctor from Doctor Who as a character. He's been around for so long, a lot of people assume he's a myth, or things that are attributed to him are actually different people named Jodah over time, or they're myths that all got attributed to this one mythological figure. And it's important to note he's not the most powerful wizard ever, but importantly, he is one of the most skilled wizards in the multiverse because he's 4,000 years of experience. He's also similar to Doctor Who in that he's very focused on the little people of the multiverse, the people who get trampled in these planeswalker feuds that happen. He's pretty much the opposite of Urza in every way. As a young man, he gets tricked by Mairsil, who has sort of usurped this place called the Conclave of Mages. He goes there to get some instruction in magic and to hide out from the Church of Tal, which is hunting down any magic users. But Mairsil secretly wants to sacrifice him to open a gateway to Phyrexia, thinking of it as a hell where he can gain power. Jodah catches on and is able to release the wizard Ith, who takes care of Mairsil, fries him to a crisp, but leaves behind his magic ring. That ring is found millennia later by Limdul, and the spirit of Mairsil inhabits Limdul. Now, Limdul nearly destroys at least the continent of Teresier during the Ice Age on his conquest. He creates this zombie army and pits the two civilizations at the time, the Kildorans, the Balduvians, against one another, and plays their nationalistic leanings against them. He's only stopped when Jodah is able to bring the leaders of both civilizations together to finally halt his rampage. And those two civilizations would go on to become the modern-day country of New Argive. They would unite. After the conflict, Jaya would actually find Mairsil's ring, and he would slowly try and take her over until Jodah helps her planeswalker spark ignite, and she sort of burns him out. Note that Limdul kind of gets split in half at this point. His arm with the ring is left behind on Dominaria, which leads to the Jaya thing, but his body is taken to Chandalar by the planeswalker Leshrac, and he eventually becomes what we know as the Raven Man. There's a lot of deep lore here. In the modern day, Jodah is an Archmage of Talaria. He has always been a teacher over the years. He was a teacher of what was called the City of Shadows, but today he's an Archmage of the Talarian Academy, and has a fairly big role in Dominaria United fighting back against the Phyrexians. He became friends with Jaya during the Ice Age when Jaya actually tried to rob him. He was so impressed that she successfully broke into his office in a secret wizard school, no less, that he offered her a spot in the school right then and there. She had some limited pyromancer powers at the time, but she declined, and they were friends ever since. This is sort of why I love Jodah as a character, because, his best friend was a woman who tried to rob him once, and he was so impressed, he's like, you have to stay in my life. During the Time Spiral Crisis, Jodah fell in love with Joyra, although by the modern day, they've broken up again. Joyra is another ageless person on Dominaria. She is ageless because she drank enough of the Talarian time water, not the alcoholic kind that Tappy drinks, but basically water whose properties had been slowed down in time, that it slowed down her aging to a crawl as well. Magic had to do a lot of this over the years because planeswalkers had such long lifespans that they needed a supporting cast to keep up with them. It's also heavily implied that Adeliz is Jodah and Joyra's daughter, as you can tell from the combined Talarian and Gitu traditions that she has. The other character I was asked about was Zur. So Zur is another Ice Age character who had an obsession with immortality. And he disappeared into the wastelands, and no one heard about him for centuries. He has reemerged in the modern day, having somehow discovered a secret of immortality, but like we've mentioned, those are like everywhere on Dominaria, more or less. And Jodah gave him a position at the Talarian Academy, mostly to keep an eye on him. All right, that's it for Jodah, Zur, and these Immortals. Let me know what else you want me to talk about.